Episode 4. What's going on, everyone? This is episode 4 of Everyday Python Projects, and today's project is a password generator. But we're not in the business of creating a weak password. We're here to build a strong password. This password is going to include uppercase letters, lowercase letters, symbols, and digits. We're also going to keep this password at 10 to 15 characters long. However, once you guys take the reins and create your own, you can add in any kinds of conditions you want and make it as long or short as you guys want it to be. All right, let's get started. Okay, the first thing we need to do is import the necessary libraries for this to work. So we're going to use random, string, and secrets. We'll use the random library later in the video to show you a cool example, but secrets is going to be used here because it's far safer and cryptographically more secure compared to the random library. It was built for the specific purpose of generating random numbers in a security setting, so we're going to go with that. Next, we're going to define the length of our password as well as where we're going to pull the characters from. So let's create a variable called password length, and this is going to be equal to secrets.choice in a range from 10 to 16. All this means it's going to pull a random number between 10 and 15. It will not include this upper bound of 16. Next, we're going to create a variable called uppercase letters, and this is going to be equal to string.ascii uppercase, and we're going to do the same thing with lowercase letters, as well as digits, and finally with symbols. Now with symbol, it's going to be a bit different. Instead of pulling the whole list, we're going to do string from the first element up to but not including the 23rd element, and then starting with the 24th element onwards. The reason we don't include the 23rd element is that if you see here, the 23rd element is a double slash. Depending on what kind of password generator you use, this might be one character longer than we intend. If we're looking for, let's say, a 14 character password and it includes the symbol, then our password will be 15 characters long. So this part isn't really a big deal, but it shows you that you can be flexible with your approach to generating a password. There's no single way to do it, but Python makes it super easy to test out a ton of different methods in a really short amount of time. So in order for us to guarantee that we satisfied our character conditions, we can force the password to generate an uppercase letter, lowercase letter, digit, and symbol before we randomly generate the rest of the password. So the first thing we need to do is write char1 equals uppercase letters, secrets.rand below, that's going to be the length of uppercase letters. So what this does is it generates a random number between 0 and the total length of the uppercase letters, and then it's going to look at the index within uppercase letters and pull whatever that letter happens to be. So we can do a similar thing with the lowercase letters, digits, and symbols like so. Once we have that, we can generate a mini password called myInitialPassword. And that's going to be equal to char1 plus char2 plus char3 plus char4. So if we were to run this, we would see my initial password has an uppercase letter, a lowercase letter, a digit, and a symbol. Now we need to generate the rest of the password. So we're first going to create a list where we'll store the randomly pulled characters. So let's create a list called ladder portion and make it empty. Then we'll write a for loop that will randomly pull a character from our previous conditions and append it to the list ladder portion. So for x in range 4 to password length. We're starting at 4 because we've already generated the first 4 characters of our password right here. We're going to create a list called list to choose. This is going to be equal to secrets.choice, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, digits, and symbols. Then we'll create a variable called rand number. That will be equal to secrets.choice once again, range from 0 to the length of the list to choose, which will come from whatever was selected here. And then we're going to append that to ladder portion, list to choose random number. Okay, so secrets.choice lets us pull randomly from one of the items in our list. Then we'll create a random number from 0 to the length of the list that we chose. Finally, we'll append whatever character we randomly picked to our list called ladder portion so we can keep track of it. Now we just have to join our initial password with the remaining characters we generated, and then we just have to print it to the console. Final password equal to my initial password plus quotations join ladder portion. So right now ladder portion is just a list. This will take each of the elements within that list and connect them, and we're specifying that there won't be any space between them. So let's run this, and we can see final password is equal to this, and let's double check, are the first 4 characters in final password equivalent to what we have in my initial password? Certainly looks like it, capital I, lowercase d, 8, and equal sign. So there you have it. You have a safe and secure randomly generated password. In case you want it to be longer, not a problem. Let's change this to 1000, 1001, and print final password to the console. There you go. Here is your random password. All things considered, that wasn't too bad, right? We had a couple libraries to import, some basic code to write, but the key takeaway is that we can now use this forever. Earlier I mentioned that I forced the password to satisfy our initial conditions first before we randomly pulled from the remaining characters to complete the rest of the password. The next set of code is going to show why we can't satisfy all 4 conditions just by randomly selecting from the entire list of all characters. Let's start off by commenting out part of what we wrote originally. So let's comment all of this. And I'm going to copy some code that I wrote earlier to test this out. Okay, so the gist of all this is we're going to run this 5,000 times and generate a password of length 20 by randomly pulling from all available characters. Each time we get a character that's uppercase, lowercase, etc., we're going to keep track of it by increasing the value of these variables right here. So use lower count, upper count, digit count, symbol count. And then we're going to keep track of these scores by creating a dictionary. And if any of the conditions aren't met, we're going to print out which loop failed, the password, and the condition it failed to meet. Then we're going to show how many passwords failed and all the reasons why it failed. All right, so out of 5,000 loops, all passwords of 20 characters long, we have 570 passwords that did not meet all of our conditions. And we can see here the majority of them didn't meet the required number of digits, but there were also some passwords that either didn't have enough lowercase letters or uppercase letters. Now you can see that this was with a password that is 20 characters long and we ran it 5,000 times. What if we ran it 50,000 times for a password that is 70 characters long, which is astronomically long, and I don't think anyone would ever have a password they'd possibly remember that is 70 characters long. All right, so we have 20 failed passwords. They all came from digit count. There weren't any digits in each of these passwords. Here, even after pulling characters from our master list 50,000 times for a password that is 70 characters long, you still have passwords that are failing, which shows you can't just randomly pull from this master list and hope to satisfy the conditions that we set forth in this video. Now, if the conditions were different, that would all depend on how you set up the password, but we can see that here, if we want an uppercase letter, lowercase letter, digit, or symbol, that we need to force it first. We can't just rely on randomly generating it through these loops. There you have it, your very own password generator. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like below and subscribe to my channel. I make videos like this 5 days a week. Join me tomorrow for another Python programming tutorial, and I'll see you then.